Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Along with producer Alden Iwani, our very special guest today is Valencia girls head basketball coach Micaela Medina. Coach, thanks so much. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Coach, you've got quite the resume. And of course, we have to mention this. You're the daughter of Los Lunas girls head coach David Medina, the former Berlin head
Yep.
coach, the former Hope Christian girls head coach who just got back into it this season at Los Lunas. Coach Medina and I worked some games together. He was my color commentator for many games, and I ref some of his games back in the day. I mentioned to you when he was at Berlin, and man, I'll tell you, he's also the former head coach at Del Norte. He was a
Mhm.
handful, baby. He was a handful. And I say that with affection because David and I are friends, are very good friends. I very much respect him. Tell us a little bit. I was going over your resume. You played at Del Norte. You played first. You played at Berlin and
Yes.
started as a freshman. Your dad was still coaching the boys team at Berlin at that time. Is that right?
No, at that time, actually, he was not. He wasn't coaching at all my freshman year, which was kind of different for him. And then my sophomore year, he was one of the assistants actually for
Over the
at
girls.
Berlin. Yeah.
Talk a
So
little bit about that. You've had a different. You also have had coaching careers at Cobre, at Western New Mexico, where you played and got some great pictures. So you had some coaches besides your father that has shaped your coaching career. Of course, your father has shaped a lot of your playing career and your coaching career. But it's fair to say you went to Cobre, were a C team coach then, the head girls coach at Cobre. You worked under Rusty Kennedy at Western New Mexico. Talk a little bit about where it all started. It started at Berlin. You played there as a sophomore. Then you transferred to Del Norte when your dad got the job over there. Talk a little bit about where it all began.
yeah, shoot, it all began playing AAU basketball for my dad, honestly. He was my AAU coach since I was in third grade, and then get to high school, play freshman, sophomore year at Berlin, and then we transferred over to Del Norte so that I could play for my dad as a head coach because I just knew that, him being my head coach, I'd be able to not only grow my game, um, on the court, but also just help me with, with those life skills that I would need to be successful after high school. So it was kind of, I remember him asking me, "Are you sure you want me to apply for this job at Del Norte? They've only won one game in 2 years." I said, "Let's go, Dad. Let's do this." And my sister at the time would be a freshman while I'm a junior, so we're kind of going there together. So it was a great experience there at Del Norte. I developed a lot of close friendships there. We were very successful. We made it to the state tournament 2 years. That was the year that those 2 years were the year that St. Pius had won state 2 years in a row under Coach Griego. They were just a stacked team, and they were in our
Yes.
district. So, yeah, we played them in the state tournament in the Elite Eight 2 years in a row. I really think we should have been, met with them in the championship, but that's just not how the seeding went. And so then after that, I had gotten a basketball scholarship to play at Western New Mexico University, and that was really a great experience. Unfortunately, I did get hurt, so I had to try to do the next best thing because it was pretty devastating when I got hurt, and I knew coaching would be the next best thing. And Coach Kennedy, oh, before that, I actually moved back to Albuquerque to be an assistant for my dad. And then I moved back to Western and became the student assistant there under Coach Rusty Kennedy. And man, I learned so much from that man. He was probably the funniest man I've ever met. And just his defensive strategy is what I really took away from him. And I did a lot of scouting and helped him with some of the recruiting. So that was something that I had never experienced before. So that was really fun as well. And then he kind of gave me that push to take the head coaching job at Cobre. So I was at Cobre for 2 years, and now I'm here at Valencia.
What a turn! What a lot of travel there. You mentioned you again. I'm sure you've been inspired by your dad, his philosophies. You can't help but be that. You played for him. You coached with him. Now you're coaching against him. When you he got the job at Los Lunas, I texted him. I said, "Wow, imagine the conversations around the dinner table now because you want to compete. That's your father, but you want to
Yeah.
beat him. Much like the Browns here in Albuquerque. I told you this yesterday when Danny and Greg play against each other, and Mike Brown, rest in peace. it was quite an event because Mrs. Brown would come to the games with half Volcano or half Manzano or wherever Greg and Danny were. Danny was at Highland at the time. Coach Brown had retired to be with Danny at Highland. It's quite an event. How is it now to coach against your dad in the same district? You've had some great success. We're going to go over your schedule, but what kind of event is that when you look across the sideline? It's your father. Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, it's a great experience. I just imagine this. We played this year. We played the day after Thanksgiving, so you can only imagine the smack talking going on at Thanksgiving. And let me tell you, my dad's the one that starts most of the smack talk. He loves to talk smack, but at the end of the day, after I'm competing against I believe one of the top coaches in the state who've been over 300 wins, and it just has had many successful seasons for boys and women's basketball. And I think of it as it's a win-win for him. He taught me everything I know. So for us to win, I mean, it's a win for him too. I think I don't know if he sees it that way, but I definitely do. And it's a great experience to be able to coach against one of the best, and it being my dad.
I love that because he is one of the best coaches. There's no question about it. And there might be an adjustment or something you did out of a timeout, and he'll look at you like, oh, man, where did you learn that? There has to be that one-upsmanship, adjustments, and other things you learn from Coach Kennedy, what you learned at Cobre. It's never ending because coaching, you have to keep up with the new things with the game. You have to keep up with the adjustments. And I'm sure there's times that out of a timeout, he's probably said to himself quietly, wow, I taught her too well. There has to be. And it makes me laugh about that because not only are you coaching in the same district, but Valencia and Los Lunas have a healthy rivalry, right? They have a healthy rivalry. Athletic director Wilson Hollins, who's a very good friend, he's down there. And anytime they play in anything, it's ramped up. And it's a good rivalry. It's a healthy one. Right? It is. You go down the street. I remember playing for Highland and playing San Diego, who's in our district, or Albuquerque High. Those were rivals, and so when the game it takes on an added meaning. It's your dad, and it's a district rival. And Los Lunas and Valencia share a lot of the same athletes. A lot of the same kids go here, kids go there. So that has to ramp it up even a little bit more.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot added pressure to it, and I think my dad getting the job this year, we really decided on trying to bring the community together. We are in different classifications now. He's a 5A and we're 4A. So at the beginning of the season, we actually combined our open gyms. I'm really low on numbers, especially during the fall season. So we actually just, like I said, we combined our open gyms, and we would go drive down there to Los Lunas, and we would just have an open gym. And it's really nice that I have my dad just a phone call away. And when I have, I'm going through something or I need some advice, I'll just hit him up, and he really helps me with that. And now he does the same thing with me too. He'll tell me the things that he's got going on, and I'm able to help him now. So it's a cool relationship that we have. I'm really grateful for that.
You got the bragging rights. You beat him twice. You beat him twice.
Three, actually. I'm 3-0 right now. Two, when he was at Del Norte coaching the girls, we played them when I was at Valencia twice, and I beat him twice while he was at Del Norte, and once now he was at Los Lunas. So I'm 3-0 right now.
Oh gosh, that's but I think you're right though. It's a win-win for him because you obviously you grew up you're doing a lot of things with him, and you're right there by his side. When you mentioned the program at Del Norte had won one game in 2 years, I believe. You're part of the rebuild. You get to the Elite Eight 2 years in a row. That team you mentioned, and Phil Griego, God rest his soul, was one of the best men I ever met in my life. I love that guy. I really did. Oh gosh, he was a good man. He's another guy. He'd get on you too. I remember he would. He'd go like this to me. Okay, coach. We'd laugh though. After every game, I'd see him and we'd laugh after the game was over. He's an intense guy. But the team that he had, you're not kidding. That was one of the best teams, not only in Pius history. You could probably say that was probably the best team that Pius ever had. But you could go down and say that's one of the best girl teams in the state. Period. That was a very good team that he won with at 9, I believe. He won at 9, and I think that was one of the best Pius teams I ever saw.
Yeah, they were stacked, man. I remember just battling every game. It was a battle, and we'd always meet. Like I say, you play them twice, and then you play again in the district tournament, and then we played them again in the state tournament. Just it was a battle. I remember my senior year against them. The score at halftime in the state tournament, the Elite Eight at the pit, the score was 3-5 at halftime.
What?
So yeah, the score was 3-5 at halftime.
Just
Yep.
just everybody holding the ball. Was it?
Oh,
Do you remember? What were your
no,
recollections of that game?
we knew everything about them. They knew everything about us. We played. This was the fifth time we had played each other that season. Just defense was both sides of defense was good. It was tough, man. They were a tough team, but we battled with them. We definitely battled with them.
I can tell I like that. I can tell you're a battler. There's only one way to go down. If we're going to go down, I always say, and you've got Hyman tonight, and you lost to them by 2 at Valencia. So I know Lonnie Neal runs a great program at Hyman, another guy I have the utmost respect for. So we'll talk about that matchup a little bit later. But I want to ask you about you. That's a lot of moving around, Coach. You went to here, back to Albuquerque, back to Western. We're going to wrap this up. We got about a minute left in this segment. But talk about your experience at Cobre. Now you even said to me you might move back, which I'm the voice at Western New Mexico. I'm there every weekend. So tell us a little bit about your experience at Cobre High School as a head coach there.
Oh, it was awesome. It really helped get my foot through the door. It helped me experience what it's like to be a head coach. And sometimes you just got to jump in and just do it. I think my dad, it was funny because I was asking my dad and he seemed real hesitant at first because I think he wanted to protect me from, every head coach knows when it comes to coaching high school basketball, it's probably 40% basketball and 60% everything else you have to deal with. And so I think he was really trying to protect me on that because I was young. I was, in my lower 20s. And I just decided to go for it. And I'm really glad that I did. There was a great group of girls. And I helped transform that program as well because they hadn't got a bid into the state tournament in over a decade. So that was just really fun. The small community, I knew a lot of the people, so we got a lot of people to start coming to the games, and just it was a great way for me to start off my head coaching career. Definitely.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this year's version of the 2022-23 Valencia Jaguars after these messages on the sports desk.
Awesome.
Hit 61 earlier this year. But Hope with a steal and a bucket. Noah Perry puts Hope on the board first.
Lovato gets his second bucket. Just reared his head down and put it up for 2 with the left hand. 8-4, there's a bucket and 1. Cruz with the bucket.
Some of them are in khakis. Here's the offense. 3-point basket by number 1 is good. And we are tied with 4 seconds left.
Charlie. 5 quick turnovers. I'm sure Coach Otero. There's 6 right here.
Another bucket, and that is Antalelu.
Hill in the corner. Buries a 3. Andrew Hill with 17 points.
Under 50 points.
Seconds left. Back door to Stanford. Scoops and scores. Lays it in.
What a
great
pass by
pass.
Costa.
No Storm fan want to foul. Instead, the Jags end up with the ball. Morris pulls up 3, puts it down. Back-to-back threes.
Run and now they got to speed the
that.
process.
Under his legs on the pass. What a dime from Kellen Garris to Justin Mass. That's going to be on the top 10. Under his legs.
Now again.
Can't foul here if you're Pius. Ball goes to Estrada. He'll put up 3. And it goes in at the buzzer. Damian Estrada closes the game out for Valencia. And stay tuned.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Sometimes it's the small things that make life easier, like never worrying about being declined at an ATM when only cash will do. With You're Covered from US Eagle, we'll cover you, even if the money's not there. That's a good feeling, and we do it with no extra fees or penalties. It's called trust, and we think that's important, especially if we're asking you to trust us. At US Eagle, that's just part of what it means when we say people mean more.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
We fight the battles no one hears about.
We drop into the middle of firefights to rescue others.
And act as one-man air traffic control towers.
We're the ones who go before all others.
U.S. Air Force Special Warfare are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks. The Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Our special guest today, Valencia girls head coach Micaela Medina. Coach, once again, what great conversation we're having about the game we both love so much. And you've got to share it with your dad. Wow. You know, you look back someday and you'll think, man, what great moments we've had, we will have. And there'll continue to be more, because there's nothing like, I have that what I told you with my son. He's a up and coming broadcaster with ProView Networks, and he was my color commentator for years, and a darn good one. He really was. And now I get to see him branch off on his own. I miss him being my commentator, but it's always fun to see him do his own games and get his own style. Everyone's got their own thing to do, and my son does too. So sharing it with your parent, how great is that? Describe that.
It is. It's very special because, not everybody gets that sort of chance or sort of opportunity. I just feel very blessed. Oh, and it's not over. It's still there, so you're going to have, and I thought that was great
that you had a joint open gym together, because that probably wasn't thought of. In Valencia and Los Lunas, you see each other, you see that Jaguars, you see the Los Lunas colors right away. It's like, oh, you get tense. Oh man, we got to beat them. We can't go beat our friend, or we can't be with them. And I think that it does bring the community together. It does. I believe it does.
Good competition.
I think it's a great thing. I really do. We went back and you mentioned Cobre, which you've been to rebuilding programs. Your dad rebuilt Del Norte. He had some great success there. You went to Cobre, and they hadn't been in a state tournament in a long time. So you've been parts of rebuilds. Talk about when you got the job here at Valencia. You've been here since 2018. Valencia's got some great coaches out there. They just got a new football coach. I know that. Coach Hadhu does a wonderful job. They've got Highland tonight. They barely lost to Highland the last time. It was a very close game. Coach Hadhu's a disciple of Travis Julian. He does a great job. So talk a little bit about when you got to Valencia. You went through the COVID year, things like that. What were your challenges when you first became the head coach? You're used to challenges as a player, as a coach. Talk about what some of your challenges were when you became the head coach of Valencia.
Yeah, so I knew a challenge that I was going to have right away would just be having to rebuild the culture again with girls basketball, having to build the numbers again, building that confidence within the girls. And I knew that we may not win a lot of games right away. Our record was 3. We won 3 games that season, and that was hard. It's hard for me to lose because I'm very competitive, but I knew that it was going to be a process. And that was something I had to express to my girls, every game. This is going to be a process, and you group of seniors and juniors may not be a part of the success that we're going to have later on, but you are part of the stepping stones that's going to get us there. And so I appreciate all the girls that have come through here at Valencia, and it has been a challenge, but now it's starting to, come to fruition, and we're starting to see all of that hard work starting to pay off.
It's a process.
Yes.
The COVID year probably put back some teams. Coach Hadhu had alluded to that when I talked to him in the game before they played Highland. He said they had numbers, and then the numbers weren't there after COVID as much as they were before. That's been a challenge to build, through pods of 3, pods of 5, no contact. It was a challenge, I think, for every coach there was in the state. There's some great pictures of you as a Del Norte at night, along with your sister, and of course your father. There's also some pictures there when you played at Western that I'll have to share with my Mustang family in Silver City. Coach, you started out the season really, really well. I think eight wins in a row at one point, beating our Artesia, which is a good team. A very close game there. Beat Los Lunas. You beat Los Lunas, Clovis, Del Norte, Rio Rancho, which is a rebuilding team under Lori Mabry, who's one of the best women coaches in the state, no doubt about it. There's great pictures there. Thank you for sharing. Beat Cleveland, beat Miyamura, beat Deming, beat Espanola Valley. Then some of the wheels a little bit maybe come off just a little. But right now, you're 16-8. Your Jaguars last week were ranked 7th. A district record of 3-3 going in the Highland tonight. Tell us a little bit about this year's version of the Valencia Jaguars.
Yeah, we're a really young team. We only have 2 seniors. And so I think that's kind of what happened there, where we kind of, lost a couple of games. We're just learning so much, learning how to win, learning the pressure it feels like to be successful, because they've never been in this position before. They've never felt what it's like to be ranked. So having to learn that's a learning process too. But these girls are very persistent, and they show a lot of perseverance, and I appreciate them for that. They're so hardworking, and they're a lot of fun to be around. We joke around, and we have a very, very family oriented environment, and I think that's what really helps us get through. And so right now we're in a tough district. Pius is tough, Highland's tough. Grant and Belen have got a couple good players too. So I'm excited to kind of see how the rest of this district season and the tournament pans out.
Great picture there, your dad, and anything that basketball related, he's going to be right there. There's no doubt about it. Pius under Bree Brody has done a great job. Samuel Gavaldon, the new coach at Belen, you've got some tough Lonnie Neal has been a longtime head coach and done a great. Lonnie's a friend. I love Lonnie. He's done a great job at Highland. So you've got district challenges every night. There's no question about it. I think any game's a challenge and a slog because, sometimes your team comes out and they just play wonderfully and you wish you could bottle it. And then the next night, shots aren't falling. We're not defensively rotating. We're not making our free throws. We're turning the ball over. That's the challenge. Each night is different. You've got some players here. Jaden Montoya is averaging 12.6 points per game. You mentioned, talk about her as Azalea Mazaliza?
Azalea Malaysia.
Okay. Those are your two leading scorers. And for the season, you've hit 95 3-point shots. Talk a little bit about them. Or whoever you want to talk about.
Yeah. I've been able to coach Azalea since she was in 7th grade. So she just has this hardworking mentality. She's one of those players that gets in reps after school on her own. She has little groups and coaches that she goes and sees individually too, and I love that. And she brings that kind of competitiveness to practice every day and in games. And then Jaden Montoya, man, she's a funny kid. She's such a hard worker and she's so coachable. She wants to get better. Both of them want to play at the next level. So it's fun being able to kind of push their limits a little bit because I've been there. And so I can show them and tell them. I'm still able to jump on the court with them sometimes too. So that helps. And I get to kind of push them a little bit so that they're ready for what it's going to be like at the next level. And I'm just very blessed to have those two leaders on the court for us because they just kind of bring this this different energy to the court, definitely.
You can always tell who the leaders are, and those two sound like leaders to me. And I think you're having to go to other coaches. That's the work that they put in, the shooting work, the defensive work, the free throw work, ball handling. There's so much to basketball. There really is. And they always say, keep it simple. Keep it simple. And we complicate things when we try to do things outside our wheelhouse. That's coaching. That's coaching. That's for you to tell them what their wheelhouse is. Sometimes the kids get confused and think they can do other things because they see things on TV, right? And they want to be a part of that culture, the swag culture, right? Mm-hmm. The cool culture.
The swag culture. I like that.
Yeah, it's true. So I think you've got a lot of challenges ahead of you. Tell us what it's going to take for the Valencia Jaguars. Seeding and selections coming up. All these games are for seeding, right? In selection, and where you're going to maybe be in the state tournament, where the Jaguars have to do to finish the season out.
Tonight's game is going to dictate a lot. Tonight's game is going to be very, very big in terms of whether we're going to get a home game or not, because this will dictate whether we finish second or third in the district. I think Pius still has to beat Highland. So, but I'm thinking if we beat Highland, we should be able to get a home game for state, at least be top 8. I hate getting that 8 seed though. I've gotten it every year since I was in high school because after you win that first round game, you got to go play the number 1 team. So I'm trying to avoid that number 8, that 9-8 seed right there. If we can get a 6 or a 7, I think that'd be a nice place for us. That's where I'm hoping we can get.
Well, tonight it's at Highland. John Jimenez, the Cleveland coach, brought up a good point. It's tough for teams to travel, get off the bus when you're a lower seed. It's tough. You have to go on the bus and drive 4 hours, and that's a tough seat. Coach Micaela Medina of the Valencia Jaguars, we thank you so much for being our guest today on the Sports Desk. We wish you good luck tonight against Highland, and good luck the rest of the season. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.